Hello, in this video I'm going to show my process for making this cinematic that's on the screen right now in Unreal Engine 5. Making this video because I noticed that a lot of the videos online are way too simple to be helpful, or they're way too complicated, and it's not really is a pretty streamlined, not super complicated process. So I want to go over it from scratch to finish, using nothing but Mixamo animations and 3D models. So if you have your own animations, if you have your own models, we're going to go over how to use those as well. But yeah, going to divide it up into preparation, creating these sequences, clipping them together, and then playing them from the start, opening of a game or wherever you want in a game. And then we'll probably go over how to build a game too. But with that said, let's get into it. It's not going to be as complex as that one, but we'll cover all of our bases. So first, I have the class project open here, and you can organize it however you want, but I'm going to make, for our purposes, a new folder called Cinematics, and I'm just going to keep everything that I'm doing for this video in this folder. So I'm going to create a new folder, maybe one for my models, one for my materials, because I know there's going to be a lot of materials, one for my sequences, and maybe one for my animations too. Leave it there for now. By the way, if you don't have like these 4 content browser tabs, then I recommend right-clicking on one of the tabs and checking the 4th one, and then just shuffling it there, because we're going to be using a bunch of tabs for this video. Next, we're going to go bring in our 3D model. So I'm going to have 2 characters. If you already have the 3D models that you want to use, all their meshes and their skeletons good to go, then you could just use the chapter timestamps in the description of this video to skip ahead to the next portion. But first, I'm going to show how to, let's say you have your own model that you want to use. And let's say you're just going to use the Mixamo animations for this. Let's just do that, because I have a student model that I want to use because I think it'd be funny. So upload character, select. They sent me hamster, no coded. So this is Hammy Hernando, I think. Shout out to the team who's working on that. Shout out to, I believe, Katie's making the model for this. So I just went to Mixamo. I went to the upload character button. Once it loads, you just basically do what it tells you to do. Most of you have done this. Wrist to wrist, elbows to elbows, knees to knees. If it's not quite lining up, then just disable the symmetry button. Attach the groins. Then hit next. All right, so when that is done loading, you should see your character looking all animated. If you get some errors, then export it as a wavefront or a object file, or FBX should work. Next. And then we're ready to get the animation. So I go to the animations tab. Consider all the animations that you're going to use for the cinematic. Download them. For the first one, I'm going to download it with the skin, because I don't have this model in my project yet. 30 or 60 keyframes. And we'll go over that import really quickly again. So in my meshes, whoops. Just drag the animation in there. And make sure to keep the skeleton to none so that it creates a skeleton when you import it. And import only animations is checked off. And then make sure it's importing animations. And I didn't have any of the materials on there or the texture, so I'm good to go. Remembering our naming convention for skeletal mesh is skm underscore Hammy. The skeleton, S for skeleton underscore Hammy. I guess I'm going to be using this skeleton for all of my Mixamo animations. They're going to use the same skeleton, so I'm going to name it S underscore Mixamo. And then animation sequence AS underscore idle. Then I'll put these in the proper folders later. So you can do it in whatever order you want. I'm just going to go ahead and get the idle, sitting, standing, and turning around animation because I know those are the animations that I want to use. I guess I'll show that really quickly, but this sitting, talking animation is perfect for the cinematic that I have in mind. So I'm going to download that without the skin, and then I'll just show the change in the import settings that we're going to do. So let me actually go to my animations folder and drag that one in. Then the only difference here is we can check the import only animations and select our Mixamo skeleton. And none of these settings theoretically should matter because it's only going to import the animation. And then for all the animations, you could just do it that way. Another thing to make note of is if you're going to use animations where they're moving, like walking, then you want to make sure in place is checked just because of the way that we're going to be making cutscenes. And I'll just go over it really quickly. If you want to use a model that's not your own model, it's from Mixamo, just switch to the characters tab, find the model you want to use, click it, use this character, and then download it. Doesn't matter what animation it is as long as you change the skin to with skin. Download that, go to your projects, and this time when you import it, drag the animation into wherever, and then when you import it this time, make sure import only animations is not checked, and you want to import the, actually I'm going to uncheck import animations too because I don't need that, but I do want the textures, so I check that, and I do want the material, so I check that, and then I would organize these. So I haven't used Mixamo in a while, but I've noticed when I import it, just in case this is a thing that other people are running into, the materials are using the default textures instead of the proper textures. So just in case anybody else is running into that, I just dragged all of my textures and materials into that materials folder that we made earlier, and I renamed them properly, like M underscore eyebrows, M underscore eyes. Then for the textures, T underscore normal, so on and so forth. And then you just have to open the material and set the textures yourself. As for some reason, it's using this weird texture here. So I just open the granny eyebrows, for example, click on one of these nodes that has the texture image on it, like the diffuse color map node, then go to the details panel, and instead of using the default texture for the diffuse color map section here, change that to the diffuse that you imported in with your Mixamo character. So I renamed mine T underscore granny diffuse. By the way, my recording got deleted, but for the opacity mask maps of these materials, I've been using the face map texture just because out of everything it gave me, that's the one that looked the best. Doesn't look perfect, but for our purposes, it looks good enough. Meshes have their materials on them. By the way, if you're importing your own model that doesn't have the texture or material already on them, like for Hammy here, then you can just drag your texture in and then right click it and select create material to create a material from that texture. Now you just open up the skeletal mesh and you can change its material to that new material you just made from down there. That's what I did for Hammy. And I also added all the animations that I'm going to be using today. Hammy is going to meet the granny and they're going to become friends and then they're going to start fighting. So it will be quite silly. Just for cinematic effect, most of you have your own environments that you're making, but I am just but a man, so I'm going to be using an environment from Fab Store, something free, and this, where should I go? What should I use? What's decent? Low poly hand painted environments. I like it. I just hit add to project. Oh, it's loading, but I can't see it. All right, now let's get to the fun part and create a sequence. So first I brought my camera roughly to somewhere where I would like to start. You can use the Q and E keys to go up and down a little bit. I'm going to start Hammy behind that tree, and then he's going to walk into view. Let's go create the sequence by going to this camera. What is this thing called? This little clipboard. Drop down and add level sequence. And then this is going to be the second clip in my sequence, so I'm going to name it S2 for sequence 2 underscore Hammy walking into view. And I'm going to save it in my cinematics and sequences folder. And that created a timeline. The first thing we need, let's make a cinematic camera. So plus object, this plus button with the cube, drop down, all, search for camera, and make a cine camera actor. I would make sure it's set to 16:9, so it's like a 1920 by 1080 resolution. I guess that would be 1280 by 720. And then let's drag that actor that I just created into the, I guess a ratio, it's all sizes, but let's drag into this empty space. And then that zoomed us up a little bit. If it's not looking through the view of the camera, you can press this little blue camera button to look through that view. I'm gonna back up a little bit. But right now I'm just changing I'm actually changing like the camera output. So anyways. Well, I was about to say something helpful. If you want more precise control of the camera, I would go to the camera speed and then change it. I usually like 0.1 or 0.33. And then also if you want to see your normal viewport view, then you can switch from camera actor to perspective. And then this is your camera view in the corner here. You do whatever you want up here. This is not, if you want to do something without changing the position of your camera, is what you do this for. I'm just gonna go back to my cine actor. Oh my God, where is my scene? Where was I? I found exactly where I wanted to go. Hold on. All right, here we are, take 2. I found a new position for my camera. Now, so I don't get lost again, I'm going to add a keyframe. So let's go over that. With my cine camera actor selected, the transform is basically the position of the camera. So if you want to save this position with your scrubber at the first frame, just add a keyframe by clicking this plus button. This is where my camera will start in the scene. If you know where your camera is going to end in the scene, I know Hammy's going to walk out from behind that tree. So I'm going to move the camera a little bit this way, just a tad. Just because, yeah. Then you could see the camera movement. Right on. Let's add our actor to the scene. I already have Hammy somewhere. Let's delete him. Go into my content browser, drag your skeletal mesh of whatever character you have. I'm gonna put him here. I'm gonna rotate him. I pressed E and then W. Get out of sight, Hammy. All right, and let's add Hammy by dragging him from our outliner into the same empty space. So we added him to our sequencer. We don't want Hammy to be standing awkwardly right there. That's not very good acting. So let's give him an animation by hitting the plus button in the animation row. And he's going to start off doing a drunk walk. Let's save his location, his starting location, by in the transform row hitting the plus keyframe button. And then let's have him move. So let's go to the end of the drunk walk animation. You see it here in the timeline. You can change the duration, of course. And yeah, let's just click him and drag him out a little bit. I'm going to have to change my camera probably, but do that. And keyframe that. Keyframe that new location that we made. So now you can see it looks like he's walking out. Yeah, that camera, the cinematography is quite poor. But then we want him to switch into an idle animation. So let's just hit the plus animation again. It's like drunk idle. So it's very easy to, you know, create a scene basically. And if you want the animations to blend between each other, you can drag them over like on top of each other a little bit. Usually looks a little bit better. Gonna delete this camera keyframe and just set it up something a little bit better. Again, I need to lower the sensitivity. Whatever. It's not gonna look great just because this is a demo video, but as long as we get the point across. Yeah, Hammy had a long night. This cut sequencer is gonna end on this little red end marker, and that is basically gonna be that sequence. Done. I'm gonna cancel out of that timeline, and I'm just gonna repeat those steps again. So if you feel like you got it, then you can use the chapters to move on to the next part of the video. Maybe it's good to watch one more just to see how that's gonna go. But I'm basically just gonna make 3 or 4 sequences and then clip them all together. So add another level sequence. Say this one's gonna be the first one. So S1 underscore granny relaxing. Granny's gonna be sitting on a log, so I'm gonna move my camera. Need a little bit more speed here, man. I thought there was a log somewhere around here. Let's try to get a nice. The difference between a good cinematic and a bad one is the cinematography. So let's try to cut a nice scene here of the granny sitting close up on her face on this log. Make a new camera for each one. Oh. Camera. Oh my goodness gracious. Set a camera actor. Add that to the empty space. Collapse all that nonsense. I guess you should do that before. I guess that should be the first thing you do because you should have to reposition the camera every time. Make a keyframe. Let's add our granny. I guess she'll start on this log. Down a little bit, back to my sequencer. Let's drag her in the timeline. Move her down a little bit. Let's give her a sitting animation. Oh, love it. Ooh, that is really blurry. We're gonna have to fix that. W. Doesn't have to, I'm not gonna make things perfect for this video, but I'm going to select my Cine Camera Actor 2, and this time I'm gonna go to the focus settings, and I'm just going to do not override, so that it just looks normal, like it would look in the game. Oh my god, I'm in love with this shot. Okay, so that will be, let's create a new keyframe for the camera there. Our camera's starting there. I think the camera is going to be still for this scene. Actually, the pro cinematographer in me is telling me to move the camera a little bit. Not that one. That's it. So some scenes are going to be easier than others. Oh my god, I love it so much already. Okay, let's save. That sequence is done. Let's do one more sequence on camera. Add new level sequence. What I forgot what I was gonna do. Hammy sees granny. Let's bring Hammy. Where's Hammy? Could also just use a new Hammy. For sequence 3, I have them in position. I'm going to add camera. What's wrong with me? I guess it is 5 p.m. and I guess I'm just a little bit tired. So what you actually do? Let's get this camera in position. Let's do something like awkward, like save that. Give myself focus again. Hammy, let's save Hammy's position. Put him in trunk idle. Lapse Hammy. Lapse the camera. Put Granny in. Granny is still sitting down. Her transform out here. Let's see what this looks like. Jesus Christ. All right. So this is what the scene looks like. That sequence is good. Then the next sequence is going to be very easy. It's just going to be a close-up of Hammy. He's going to do a little flirty face. Add level sequence. Sequence 4. Hammy flirt. Okay. Camera actor. Drag the camera actor in. Put it in position, add a keyframe. Bring it into focus. Focus method do not override. And this one is just about done. Add Hammy. And the animation for this is going to be look away. It's going to be looking like he's like, let's get out of here. All right. Let's drag the end position down to there. Good. That sequence is done. And then I think the last sequence is we're going to have the granny stand up and do a kick flip. This is going to be the hardest one. This is going to truly test my skills here. Add a level sequence. S5. Granny kick flip. Camera, we'll start with the granny. Let's add her. Let's start with the granny. Let's create the scene before we do the camera for the scene because they're going to be moving a little bit. So she's going to play the stand-up animation. Let's see how long that is. Stand up. And then right as she stands up, I want to start transitioning into the kicking animation. Kick flip. Let's drag that forward a little bit. And let's just see what that looks like. You know what? We'll move Hammy so that he is in front of her more. And let's bring this over here. So right here is where we want her foot to hit his chin. We have a recoil animation for Hammy, knocked out. So when does that impact come? Let's see. The impact from getting hit is right here. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's perfect. That's good enough for this video. Save that. Before that, we want him to just be drunk. Like that. But maybe a little bit more of a transition. And that is the scene. It's going to be quick. Now we just need to add some cinematography to it because this camera angle's obviously pretty terrible. I feel like her getting up and then switching the camera angle when she kicks up would be cool. When she gets up, she's like getting up this way. So that we really feel like we are the underdogs. Let's add a camera keyframe here. Stands up. And right here is where we want to go forward 1. You know what? I think that's pretty cool. All right, see what that looks like. Good enough. All of my clips are made. Let's make the master sequence. Clipboard, add level sequence, S_master sequence. Right on. Add, so top or bottom left, top left. Shot track. That added this shot row, so that's the same as if we were to go here, except it takes away a bunch of arbitrary settings. Now all we have to do is click this plus button. If you name them in order, this part should be very easy for you. Before I start adding everything, I'm going to drag this number here down so I can make more room in the timeline. I have 5 shots, so a lot more room. And then I'm going to drag this and this red marker way forward to make some space. I just, again, dragged this little number down here to make more space. And then let's add number 2. It did not add it in the same row, so I'll do that manually. Let me zoom in because I don't want to make sure it starts right where that one ends. And let me just do that. Number 4. And number 5. If you press play, you're going to be doing the stuff, but you can't see it. So you have to hit this little camera button. Lock viewport to 2 shots. Let's see if that worked out. So there's a little bit, I didn't put them together perfectly right here. Make sure that you drag the end marker back to the end of it. Go to save, and then you can export it as an AVI file. So should be this render button, render clipboard, video sequence AVI is what I'm gonna do. I don't need any audio for this. 1280 by 720, 69 looks good. Maybe 1920 by 1080 would be better. But since this is a demo, I'm going to make a folder for it in my pictures. I make a new folder. Cinematics testing. And go ahead and import that. Next, I'm going to convert the video to MOV or MP4 so I can bring it into video editing software so I can add background music, sound effects, voice acting, maybe clean it up a little bit, do all that kind of stuff. So I'll leave a link to this website in the description. So I have Adobe Premiere Pro. Doesn't matter what you use, but I'm pretty sure everybody has access to this because they're students, and it's pretty good industry standard video editing. So can't hurt to know how to use this. Like new project, opening, cutscene, Hammy. I don't know. We had to convert it to MOV to use it in this video editing program. So I have that, and I have some music that I'm going to add to it. Just dragged it in. I'm going to drag it into my timeline, the video. Going to drag that medieval music as well. Slice it up so it matches the length of the video. Make it start a little bit. Gotta kill in my ears a little bit, so let me make it a little quieter. And once that's all good, press Control M. Make sure that video looks good and all that. Select the video here. Hit Control M, which will bring up the export options. I'll just export it to my downloads folder. H.264 is going to export it into an MP4 file. Good to go. Now let's make it our opening scene in Unreal. Next, in my cinematics folder, I'm going to right click and create a new folder. Call it movie files. Open that up, right click, create a media player so that we can have something to play our opening cinematic on. Check video output media texture asset. Aim at MP for media player movie 1 or cinematic 1. Then rename the media texture to MT instead of MP. Cinematic 1. And then create a material from this and call it M Cinematic 1. I right click on the texture, create material, name it M Cinematic 1. And then I'm going to open up, double click to open up the material, click on, make sure this base node is selected and change the domain from surface to user interface. Then drag the RGB color into the final color. Apply and save. Okay, the reason we are exporting it, or rather importing it as a movie instead of doing the cutscenes directly from Unreal, is because it makes it easier to, one, add all the extra editing like sound effects and background music or whatever kind of effects you'd want to have. And two, it makes it easier to add cutscenes to different scenes or opening scenes and things like that, because you can just insert a video wherever you want. But you also can just create a sequence in Unreal and play that sequence as like a cutscene. If, say, somebody's walking across a dangerous bridge and you want to pan over that bridge, that's something that's easy to do. Maybe I'll make a video on that another time. So in the cinematics folder, I'm going to make a new level to play this. Theoretically, you could just, on whatever your opening level is, you could play it on top of the opening level, but you don't want the player to like move around and be able to do stuff while it's playing. So it's easier just to make its own level for that, and then just open your starting level when the cutscene's done, if it's an opening cutscene, which is what we're going to do. I'm going to right click, create a level, call it L for level _ opening cinematic. What was next? Open this. I'm going to right click and create a widget blueprint. So user interface widget blueprint, user widget, WB _ opening cinematic once again. Open that up. We need a canvas. Can't have anything without a canvas. I don't know why it stopped recording, but basically all I did was I dragged the canvas into the hierarchy, and then I dragged an image as a child of the canvas, and I named it cinematic image. I named it cinematic image, and then in the details panel, I made sure is variable is checked, and I made the size X 1920 and the size Y 1080. So it covers everything like this. And then I went to the event graph of it. Created a, oh no, I didn't create a variable yet. We're gonna create a variable for the media player. So new variable, call it media player, of type media player as well. And then we're going to paste some code. So I'll leave a description to this code in the video description. I'll leave a link to this code in the video description. Paste that into the event graph. Play movie, do nothing. When you paste it in, just delete this play movie node coming out of event construct and remake it. One thing we have to do, because we're going to need a reference to it, I'm going to go to my movie files folder, right click, create a blueprint class, and create an actor. Name it BP. This is going to be the audio, so I'm going to name it opening cinematic audio. And I'm going to throw that in the level. And then I'm going to open it up. And in the components panel, I'm going to add a media sound. This is what we're going to use to throw our audio on. So now back in the blueprint, we can start filling in these things. So we just pasted this play movie It's gonna play when this widget is constructed, and then it's gonna set. We need to set this material to the material that we made. So m underscore cinematic 1 media player is the media player that we made, the only one. Media source. This is the MP4 that we dragged in. Rewind. Get actors of class. This is the BP audio that we just made. So opening cinematic audio. So yeah, get. You might have to remake that get the copy node as well. I don't know. Then pull out from there and get the media sound. So search for get media player and then get that media sound. Oh no, we don't need the player. We just need the sound. And then connect it up here and to the targets. Get rid of this one. That's starting it. So the delay node, right after it's done playing, we get the duration of the cinematic. Don't forget to set this final node, this level parameter, to whatever level you want to open when the cinematic plays. For some reason, when I had this as open level by name, it didn't work when you package the game. So for whatever reason, the open level by object reference works, which is all good. Then you might have to re-drag in. Oh, mine's called. It was called cinematic. It was called movie image in the copied one, so I changed it to cinematic image. We just have to re-drag that image in from over there. So now the functionality is there. We just want to tell it where we want it to play. So we want it to play it when the game opens up. So in the L opening cinematic level, I'm going to click on this little blueprint looking graph drop down. Open level blueprint. On the event begin play, we're going to create a widget. Select the WB opening cinematic. And then add to viewport. And connect the return value to the target. Another way you can do it in startup is by going to say your platforms and packaging settings, because we're about to go over that. But yeah, you could go to movies and then add it here. And then, yeah. But the way that we showed is a lot more versatile. So you can play movies from other places. Let's say if you didn't want to just have it at the startup, but you want to make like cutscenes and stuff. So other things to looking at the packaging settings. If you want to build your project for testing purposes or see what it looks like in a packaged game, you could go to build configuration, switch it from development to shipping. I mean, you're gonna have to do all this stuff eventually, so that's why I'm talking about it right now. The ultimate time that you build your package, so when you're building the final game, yeah, make sure to check full rebuild. But if you're doing like a test, then you don't need to do that. Maps and modes, very important. Make sure you change this from L. Well, you can keep the editor startup map to whatever map you're working on, but the game default map, change that to L opening cinematic that we made. Description stuff, other stuff like that. All these details too, like company name, project name. Then if you scroll down to platforms and then Windows, these editor splash and game splash, these things too, but this is what they're going to see when they load the game up. So you definitely want to make these not the default ones. You go back to your level and platforms, Windows, change it to shipping from whatever it was on, and then package projects. And I'm going to make a builds folder, I guess. Oops, what am I doing? New folder, builds. Select in there. Starts the process. Might take a little while depending on the size of your project. If you do want to test your game out without packaging it, then you can, like if you want to see the resolution with your cutscenes and whatnot, then you can just go to the toolbar, these 3 dots, and play it as a standalone game or as a new editor window. Although I do recommend packaging it every once in a while because sometimes things act differently in a built game than in the editor. I already packaged the game, so we'll go ahead and test that out though, because I already did it, and see how this looks. All right, so we're not going to win any awards for that, but you know, it's good for demonstration purposes, and then it takes you straight to the game. So thanks again for the team of Hammy, Hernandez for allowing me to use that model, and I think that's it for this video. Peace.